Hi everybody, you're watching Quasi Plays, and today we are looking at Stellaris. This is going to be a little bit of a how to play tutorial. We'll see how far we get. First thing we're going to do is click on New Game. Alright, once you get to the new game screen, you'll be asked to select a race. Now you can create a new one, you can use a random one, or you can use one of the pre-built ones. For your first game, I highly recommend using one of the pre-built races, and the United Nations of Earth is one of the better pre-built races to be. If we have a look around the screen, Earth is their home planet, so we'll be playing in Sol. We'll be able to see Mars and Saturn and Jupiter and some of those other planets we're familiar with. Down here we have a brief history of the planet that talks about and the race. This talks about everything that happened before we became starfaring. Over here is our race characteristics. These two down here, Xenophile and Fanatic Egalitarian, are called ethics, and those are the most defining characteristics of how our race will play. So we have Xenophile, which means we like aliens, we like other species, we let people come visit. It also gives us a diplomacy bonus. This race also starts off with Fanatic Egalitarian. Egalitarian is all about equality and making sure everyone has equal opportunities. The downside of egalitarian is we cannot use slaves, but the upside of egalitarian is it's very, very easy for us to integrate other races into our civilization. We are a democracy. Democracy means that every 10 years we'll have a new election, get a new leader, which will subtly change the bonuses our empire gets. We also have a couple of civics. These have a lesser effect on gameplay, but they just give us a few bonuses. In this tab here in the center, we have our species. So we're humans, which are humanoid. They're adaptive, that gives them a bonus on different planets. They're nomadic, that lets them migrate more quickly. They prefer to resettle. And they're also wasteful, so they use a lot more consumer goods. So that's a little bit of a penalty, but we will work out ways in the game to get around. So the United Nations of Earth is kind of your typical Star Trek race. They're friendly with everybody, they want to explore the universe, but yeah, if it comes to war they will fight, but they're not necessarily a warlike race. So once we've chosen this, we will hit select. This comes up with a huge set of options. For most games, the defaults are fine. So let's reset to defaults. The only thing I would suggest changing off the defaults is turning Iron Man on. You'll note that turning Iron Man on makes your game eligible for achievements. What Iron Man does is it means that you cannot save the game and reload it. So the game will auto-save for you each time you exit, and each time you enter you'll come back. I honestly think this Iron Man is a better way to play the game. Stellaris, like most Paradox games, has a lot of decision points, and if you save before a decision point and second guess your decision, your game is going to take forever and be unpleasant. This is a 4X game, but it's also a story-driven game, so you want Iron Man on so you can explore the story. Now that I've said that, I'm going to turn it off, so that in case something dramatically breaks during my recording, I can start where I was and carry on. Right, let's load the game up. All of these background images are a great design feature. They kind of give you a hint at some of the things that are possible in the game. Okay, now we are in the game. So this beginning screen is just a little bit of a backstory about how our race got here and so forth. So we are just going to hit begin. Alright, there's a lot going on the screen. If you've played other Paradox games, it will be very familiar to you. If you haven't, don't worry about it. We are going to go through it one at a time. Okay. On the right hand side, this is one of the critical areas of the game. The outliner tells you everything that you have access to of significance. So if I want to go to Earth, I can click on that and it will take me to the Earth menu. If I want to go to a shipyard, it will click on that and take me to a shipyard menu, and so on. It becomes very important later on when you've got dozens of fleets and 10, 20 planets. You can quickly scroll through and go, this is the planet I want, and it will take you to it. Alright, in this top right corner, apologies, the screen's auto-scrolling. In this top right corner, we have the timescale. Currently, the game is paused. If I press spacebar, the game will unpause, go at normal speed. Right, spacebar again pauses it. I can also speed up the game, and I can slow the game down. You'll see the smallest unit of time in the game is days, but you only gather resources once a month. So sometimes you'll want to speed up the game to pass a month to gain more resources, and then slow it down whenever you need to make your moves or your combats. Travel time between places in the game can take months or years as your empire gets big, so that speed up slow down feature is really useful. Right, we will pause the game again while we talk about it. Underneath are your various caps. Okay, so this is a directly controlled system cap, so that's how many planets you can control. This is your ship cap, that's how many ships you can control. This is your starbase cap, which is how many upgraded starbases you can control. And this one isn't a cap, this is just information on how many strategic resources you have. Very interesting in Stellaris, unlike other strategy games, you can exceed your cap. However, the more you exceed your cap, the higher upkeep it becomes. You will get to the point in the late game where you want to dramatically exceed your cap in order to put out more fleet power than anybody else around you. On the downside, that will crash your economy. So you'll go through phases where you will massively build up your fleet to fight a war, and then once the war is over, you'll downsize or get rid of your fleet to let your resources build back up again. Right. Let's have a look at this top bar here now. So this top bar shows all of our resources. The first resource is energy. Energy is a type of currency. We use energy to recruit new leaders, to settle new planets. So it takes the function of gold or credits in a lot of other strategy games. Minerals are basically a representation of metal and plastics and all of those other things. We use minerals primarily to build things. So we're going to be building ships, we're going to be building mining stations, we're going to be building buildings on our planet. The more minerals we have, the more things we can build. Food is tied to our population growth. We'll get to population in a little while, but the more food we have, the more population we can support. If we have an excess of food, our population grows. If we have a deficit of food, this food resource will go down, and when we have zero food, we get really unhappy population. Zero food is a bad idea. Influence represents political points. So this represents things like being able to convince your people to change government, being able to colonize new planets, being able to make claims in a war. Is all done by political. Unity represents the societal progress of our empire. So the more unity we have, we can adopt traditions. Traditions give us empire-specific bonuses, and they are quite powerful. These last three are resource. So we have physics research, we have society research, and we have engineering research. At the first time playthrough, you're going to want to keep all of those balanced. Higher is obviously better, but you don't want to get one or the other too much higher. Once you become advanced in the game, you can play around with that balance. Okay, over here we have a variety of menus. I will show you the critical ones, but you can explore them as you see fit. This is our government menu, so this tells us what sort of government we have. This is our contacts menu. Really important, however, we have no contacts at this stage, so we can ignore it. Contacts represents our diplomacy with other species in the universe. This is our situation log. The situation log is really important. This is a quest log. It tells us all of the different things we can explore in the universe, all of the different missions we have active, all of the different story chains that are going on. Currently, the only situation we have is the minor mandate. Now, if you'd played this with the tutorial on, and I highly recommend you do on your first play, the tutorial is really good. You will get a bunch of tutorial missions here, and as you complete those missions, it will show you the various features of the game. We also have an anomalies tab, so as we explore, we will find strange and wonderful things, and they will come up here. And here's the victory tab, which shows you all of the ways you can win the game. That's going to be a long way off. We don't need to pay attention to that at this stage in the game. We have our research menu, which we will get into in a moment. And then under here, we have all of the other different menus. In future tutorials, we'll pick those menus apart and we'll see what they do, but we'll do them all one at a time as they become relevant. So by now you've noticed that every time you select something, it comes up with a context menu. So if I select Jupiter, it'll come up with a Jupiter context menu. If I select the shipyard from my outliner, it'll come up with a shipyard menu. Down here we have various control groups, so we can assign our units to control groups. Okay, we can use, like a lot of strategy games, we can use the scroll wheel to zoom in and out. However, that will only zoom in and out on the planet view, or the solar system. If we want to get further out to see the galaxy, we need to press the tab key. Okay. Sorry, my apologies. If we want to get further out to push to view the galaxy, we push the M key. I've been playing a lot of games, and a lot of them use different ones. So the M key we're going to touch. So we are zooming out. This is the galaxy. There is, I believe, 600 stars in this setup, which is huge, and we control this one here. In the galaxy view, you can see we'll have information, planet, who controls it. This is our border, and we can see what ships are there. So we can see we've got a fleet, we've got a science ship with the little atom symbol, and we've got a construction ship. So the first order of business in any Stellaris game is to explore the universe. So we are going to do that now. So I will unpause the game. I will click here to select my science ship. and then I'm going to right click on the system and tell it to survey the system. Okay. Now we can see his order is going to move there. If you have a look down here at our context menu, we've got a bunch of other things that the ship can do. One of the really cool things, if you hover over an order, it will tell you how long it will take. So this is telling us he is going to arrive in 56, 55 days now. Alright, it's not going to be enough for us just to survey one system, so we will hold down the Shift key and right click Survey System, and we're going to go all the way around. You can see here where the stars are. We can only travel along the lines between the stars, right? Which means that even though these stars are actually close, we probably can't travel directly to them. Okay, so we're going to set that up. So he's going to casually wander about and survey all of those systems. If we have a look at this system here is actually going to form a really good spot to make a bottleneck. We can put a fleet there. We can strengthen that system up, which will stop anybody from, anybody that wants to invade us will have to come through there. So this system doesn't go anywhere. Okay, that is the first essential task of exploration. The next thing we want to do is start our research. So I skipped over that menu before because I knew we'd come back to it. We also skipped over this part of the UI. Up here are alerts. So these will tell you of anything that is needs to be done in the game. And we can have a look at it and see it's telling us there's no physics, we aren't researching physics, we aren't researching society, and we aren't researching engineering. If we click on one of these, it will open up the menu for us. So research in Stellaris works a little bit different from research in most other games. There is a tech tree, but we don't have direct access to it. Instead, the game draws 3 research options, and we can choose from one of those 3 research options. So here in physics, I can choose to build a physics lab, which will increase my physics. I can build, upgrade my power plants, or I can get another electricity bonus. I am going to go for physics lab. So you'll see he will start researching it. One thing that's great about Stellaris is any research you're not using actually accumulates, which makes it really useful to, not useful, but it means you don't have to hurry to come here if you've missed a technology or something to research. You can wait until an appropriate time to come choose what you want to research. You're not going to lose any progress. Right, society. So society research is all about things that help your population and so forth. We can increase our army damage, which maybe later. We don't currently have any enemies to fight. We can increase our unity, or we can increase our population growth speed. I'm going to go for a population growth speed to start off with. It's always good to have more people. And engineering, this is what, most of the engineering technologies are about spaceships or new weapons for the spaceships or so forth. However, so we got 2 weapons ones, so we can get strike craft and we can increase our corvette hull points. But at this stage, again, we don't have anyone to fight, so we're not too concerned about building up our military. But our economy is going to help us, so we're going to go for this one. And those will quite happily continue on their own without any intervention from us. You'll notice each of these levers have a little icon next to them, which is their ability. So this guy will do computers faster, This guy lives longer, which is always useful. And this guy has researches industry technologies faster. So when that symbol matches that symbol, we get a significant research progress bonus. So often who you have as your scientist does direct your direction of research. They also each have a skill level. The higher the skill level, the faster they research. Alright, now we have hit our first anomaly. Close that one down so we can focus on this. One of the features in the game, our first story element. One of the features of this game is constantly popping up with events and story elements. So in this case, we've recovered artifacts from an ancient alien civilization. They call themselves the Irasian Concordance. Powerful empire, but they're gone. 6-limbed mammalians and a pox that swept across, leading to the extinction. So we might want to be on the watch out for some sort of space cooties or space pox. But for the moment, we just have interesting. If you look at the tooltip, it will tell you this is going to start an event chain, which is always useful. As the event chain goes on, we'll get multiple options. So for now, we're just going to go interesting.
Situation log updated.
Let's update our situation log. If we can click up here, we now have a new mission, which is the Precursors. And this mission is basically to recover artifacts from their systems. So the more systems we explore, we'll find more artifacts. If we can recover their artifacts, we'll pinpoint their home system. And their home system probably has some leftover technologies or leftover resources. Alright, this is just another event. Okay, so let's explore. He will quite happily explore on his own now. So now we want to start building some things in space. So we have here a construction ship.
System survey complete.
Okay, that's that system survey. You'll see we have the notification up here telling us it's survey. If we click on that, it will take us to the system is surveyed. So now we can see all of the planets and so forth on this. If by contrast we push M and we go out to an unknown system, we can't actually go in and see that. Alright, so what we can see now is we have these systems with resources that are undeveloped. We're going to take our construction ship. We can build various buildings here, or alternatively, you can right click and tell it to build all mining stations or research stations. So we're going to tell it to build all of the mining stations. So it will go ahead and it will build a mining station to get these minerals, or a mining system to do the energy credits. Now if for whatever reason you only want to build some of them, like let's say you're running out of resources and you only want to build the mineral one, you can actually go in, you can select the starship, you can choose the individual order here, let's say build mining stations, and let's go build research stations. Alright, and the targets will hold up. In this case there's only one, but we could use that to individually build mining stations or research stations wherever we need. So for this guy, I'm just going to hold down Shift and click on Neptune, and that will build the research station. Each mining or research station we build will cost energy. So the more energy we have, the more different stations we can build, the more planets we can colonize, and so forth. And you want to be careful of overextending. When your energy starts to go negative, then some buildings stop working, and your military becomes incredibly less effective. Alright, we have discovered a habitable planet down here. So let's talk about planets. First thing we're going to do is go in and have a look at Earth. Okay, so I could have clicked on here in the outline, or I'm just going to go zoom down to Earth. There's the colony button. I can click on that and I can bring up the planet summary. So this tells me who is ruling the planet, and he has a variety of different abilities which, yeah, he's only level 1, so they're only doing 2% bonuses. Having a powerful governor over a sector or a series of planets can give you quite a good set of bonuses. And you can see the summary of all sorts of different things here. Habitability is 100%, that's good. The higher the habitability, the better. Any bonuses or modifiers that affect the world will show up here. We can go have a look at the surface of the world. This is the more interesting tab. So each tile shows a population, or empty, or blockers. Okay. So these blockers will cost us energy to clear. These people on these tiles will produce this resource. So right here, this guy's producing 5 food, this one's producing power. If we click on a population, we can click and drag them around, move them wherever we like. Okay, not actually useful because there's no resources there. So I'll put it back there. Some tiles like this one have resources of their own. We can click on a tile and it will bring up a tile menu. And the main thing we want to do here is the building. If we click on construct building, and it shows us a variety of buildings we can build. As the game goes on and we unlock more technologies, we'll be able to build more buildings. So here, since this is food, since my food resource isn't very high, I'm going to build a hydroponics farm. Because the resource is the same, it will add together. If the resource was different, then the building would suppress the old resource. So I'm going to build a hydroponics farm. I can also, if I want, click on one of these blockers and I can clear it. So this is whether we've got industrial wasteland, slums, just industrial wasteland and slums. So these represent the fact that our civilization wasn't the most efficient growing. So if I choose one of those, let's choose this one so I can get the more minerals under it, and I can press clear. Okay, and that's queued up now. So this hydroponics farm will build first, and then it will clear this territory. Right, that's the planet menu. The armies menu we'll talk about later. That comes into play when we start having combat. The spaceport menu lets you build all of your civilian ships. So here we can build a new construction ship, we can build new science ships, or we can build colony ships to colonize other planets. Early in the game, I always like building another science ship. If we close out of this and press M to go back to the map, we can see this science ship is actually moving very slowly in its survey system. So if we build another science ship, that will speed up our exploration. One of the things you'll notice this is done on the outlier is we can actually see the progress of all of the constructions that are happening. So we can see our science ship building there, and we can see our hydroponics farm building there, and you can see the queues. You can see the clearing tile is built there. That's quite a useful feature if you want to just have a look at a planet in total and see what's happened. And again, if we wanted to get to that menu, we can just click there, which will bring all of this up. Okay, We've just had an alert come up. Traditions
Construction
available.
complete.
And construction complete. Okay, so construction complete, we'll worry about that later. But this traditions available one, let's click on that and have a look. So this brings up a menu of all of the different traditions we can choose. Depending on what approaches to the game you take, different traditions give you different bonuses. So we've got the expansion, which is basically getting big quickly. Domination is all about vassalage. So it's all about subjugating other empires to you. Prosperity is about getting money and energy. Harmony is about getting your population to all work together. Supremacy helps also in conquering the galaxy. So supremacy gives you military bonuses. Diplomacy lets you work better with other civilizations. We haven't discovered any yet, but maybe we might at some future stage. And discovery is all about research and science. Let's get rid of that alert. So all of these are good. It doesn't really matter which way you go. I would suggest that you try and complete one tree at a time, because if you hover here, you will see that adopting all of a particular set of traditions gives you a bonus. So it gives you a finisher bonus, and it unlocks these ascension perks. Ascension perks are really powerful bonuses. So it's better to pick one of these trees and focus in on it rather than to try and get a little bit from everything. We are going to go Harmony. So Harmony gives us a population growth speed boost, which is kind of useful at this stage. And it has a whole bunch of things that make our civilization more unified and will give us more unity, which lets us adapt more of these trees. Discovery is also a good one to go early on. This time I'm going to go here. Right, as you can see, let's reset this. We can see how long it's going to take. Every tradition we take will cost more than the previous tradition. The cost of traditions also goes up the more of the larger our empire is. Alright, so if we go back here to our new science ship, let's have a look at that. So we can see we have a new science ship. If you note at the moment, if I right click, he'll just move. I won't get the survey instruction. If you have a look down here, you'll see survey is blocked. Okay. The reason these are blocked is because I have no leader, I have no scientists. So I'm going to click on the assign leader button, and this will come up with all of my available scientists. Currently they are all busy. So I'm going to recruit a new one, and each of these have a different ability. So this one gains expertise faster, this one researches military theory faster, and this one does materials research faster. I don't think I'm interested in military theory research just yet. Materials maybe, but I think we'll go with this one. The other advantage is she's also young, which means that she will last for longer. So she'll, on average, you can increase leaders' lifespan, but most of the time taking younger leaders means they'll last longer, so I won't have to pay that too heavily. So I'm going to recruit her, and then I'm going to, scientist is going on. Then I'm going to click. Now she's assigned. Now I can give her instructions. So I don't have a survey on this system. I'll just right click, tell her to survey. Then she can come out this way. At this stage, there's a lot of micromanaging to conducting surveys. There is a technology that I might draw from the deck which allows me to turn on automatic research. This one's going to survey, go around that one. This one's going to come out here and then start exploring that way. Eventually I'll encounter another civilization and then we'll have to do diplomacy and work out who explores where and so forth. That's like... Right, our construction ship has finished orders. There is nothing left to build in Sol, so it makes sense for us to start expanding. We can only expand into systems that are fully surveyed, so we're going to want to claim this whole region eventually. So what we will do is right click here and tell him to build a starbase outpost. Outposts establish control of the system. You have to build an outpost before you can build anything else. Alright, you'll have noticed also that there are these potentially habitable planets popping up. Okay? If we click on one, this is another planet that could be colonized by our species. We have to first build a starbase to capture the system, and then once we've done that, we can come down here and use the colonize planet button. Habitability of 30 is not particularly good. So you can see this is a Arctic ice planet, you know, something like Hoth or something like that. And if we look at Earth, yeah, Earth's a reasonably continental, reasonably wet, reasonably warm place. Habitability creates a penalty to your species happiness, and the higher happiness lets you produce more resources, it gives you more bonus and yada yada. So at this stage I don't think it's worth me trying to colonize this planet, but maybe I'll encounter a species that likes ice planets and we can land them there. Or it might be possible to research some technologies that improve habitability and get this up to somewhere where it becomes reasonable. I like 50 or 60 at a minimum before it's even worth landing. But ideally, 80s, 90s, and 100s are all pretty good. You can see there's another potentially habitable planet there. Again, until we can't see the surface tab until we have surveyed it, so we won't know whether it is. Right, we have now just encountered hostile fleet. Fleet in Sabak, so that is this planet. Okay, that's not too bad. Hostile fleets are a bit of a pain, but the fact that this is on the ends of a chain, it's not blocking us from exploring anywhere. That's kind of lucky. Okay, we have encountered alien vessels. All right, that's interesting. And another one. This is just a first contact report. And this one has, okay, because we've surveyed the habitable world, this is starting a new event chain that's asking us to explore more habitable worlds. So here we have two options. So we can say, you know what, let's ignore this and it will give us 20 influence straight away. Or we can say, let's survey habitable worlds. So this is one of the choice. We take more important matters, we get the bonus now. We take this, we'll have to complete the event chain, which might lead us to a bigger bonus. Most choices are all pretty good in this game, so just choose based on what your situation is and what sort of story you want. We're going to take that and try and explore more planets. That should have updated our situation log. We now have several up here. We've still got our miner mandate, which wants us to build more mining stations. Still looking for the artifacts from this ancient civilization. We now have to survey 8 habitable worlds. And we also have the Investigate Stellaris project. So those new aliens we encountered, we cannot do anything with them, or we can't interact with them in diplomacy until we investigate them, translate their language. This will use all of our society research. So what's society research doing? So that's pop growth speed. So I'm not too worried about delaying that. So we'll just click on this one, research, and that'll start that researching. Or the more you know about the aliens around you, the better. Alright, so because there were aliens there, he just skipped the orders to survey that, and he's gone straight back to his regular orders. Alright, thank you for watching. That's given you the basics of the interface and how to play. That's enough for your first, half hour, first hour into Stellaris. So I am going to pause that and save that there. And next time we will come back, we will see the results of this alien up here, and we will start. We've got an anomaly. We will talk about anomalies next time. Thank you very much for watching. You've been with Kawazi Games.